Hey everybody, it's Brian Eckley, back with you again today. I think it's day 7 of my video blog, my 30-day video challenge. I hope you all had a good day. I had a pretty busy day today. It was kind of a stormy, nasty day here in South Texas, and I was out flying around in it for part of the day anyway, so it was a little bit exciting. Um, I hope everything's going well with you since we talked last, which was yesterday. Um, I want to just talk to you today about dealing with people. And I want to give you an example of how not to deal with people. Uh, and um, and hopefully you'll get something out of this. Maybe if nothing else, it's kind of a funny story, funny, kind of on me. But I'm an instructor. I teach Navy students, Marines, and Coast Guard students how to fly airplanes. And recently, I was flying with a student, and it's my job to evaluate them. I sit down and I do a briefing with them. We spend about an hour before we go flying, and we talk about different subjects. We have discussion items that we talk about that the students have to be prepared to talk about, and I can pretty much run the gamut as to what it is I'd like to talk with them about. So they have to be able to answer the questions that are asked of them. So we do that with the students, and then we go flying. And typically, I pick a scenario for them to fly, and we do several instrument approaches throughout this part of South Texas, and I throw practice emergencies at them, and we I also try and test their ability to do decision making, and see how they respond. And sometimes, well, it's not necessarily that they have to respond. There's a right or wrong answer, but there's certainly a lot of times a better answer than others. So and so I evaluate all that. I evaluate their briefing prior to the flight, and I evaluate uh, their performance during the flight. Well, sometimes the performance is so bad, quite frankly, that they don't pass the flight. Now, that's not the end of the world for them. It's certainly not something that they want to happen. But if they don't meet a certain standard, then they don't pass that flight. And I was flying with a student, and that student was doing very poorly, and was making a lot of mistakes, and it was not meeting the standard. And so I decided to tell that student while we were still flying. Um, we were about, I don't know, maybe a half an hour from finishing the flight. I decided to tell that student that he did not pass the flight that day. That was not the right time. I'm not saying it wasn't the right thing to say or do. It just was the wrong time. Um, he pretty much stopped flying the aircraft. His shoulders dropped, his head dropped, and he looked outside the aircraft and completely just stopped flying the airplane, and which is not a good thing. Now, we didn't start falling out of the sky. I mean, airplanes, they'll continue to fly themselves to a certain degree, but I realized right then and there that was not the place to tell him that. I needed to wait till we landed and then sit down and explain why he didn't pass the flight. But I felt really bad. I really did. He was a great student, really motivated, really worked hard. He just did not do well that day, and actually he struggled throughout the program. But I'm happy to say that he was successful and he finished the program. So I was very pleased with that. But that day, I screwed up, and like I said, I told him that, and he just stopped flying. I kind of had to wake him up out of that funk that he got into all of a sudden, tell him, hey, we got to keep on flying this airplane. You still got stuff to do. So he finished. Again, didn't do very well, but we did finish. We got back, and I sat down and I talked with him about what it was that he did wrong and that gave him an unsatisfactory on that flight. And again, you know, I'm very pleased to say that he went on and completed the program successfully and has moved on in the Navy to fly a bigger and better airplane. So I was happy for that. And you know, I was part of the process. I mean, that's you know, that's part of my job. Is if somebody's not meeting the standard, is to make sure that they do meet the standard. I'm not there to crush somebody or to make them feel bad. I'm there to make them help them become safe, good, quality pilots for the Navy and for the Coast Guard, and Marine Corps, and all that. So again, I'm not there to crush them, but certainly they have to meet the standard to move on. And so. And most of the time, I've had to do that with a few other students, but I've learned I don't do that while we're flying. We talk about it afterwards. And again, I'm happy to say that those students that I've had to do that with, they have moved on. They've learned. They've struggled like so many of us do in so many things that we do. I did when I was going through flight training. But they've come out the other end successfully. And that's the one thing I want to leave you with is that there's a lot of struggles. A lot of these students, they spend 2 years in flight training. That's a long time. Continuously under the microscope, continuously being asked questions, tested, just constantly under stress. And so I'm not sure if I could do that now if I were to go through the flight training program. But they continue, they persevere, and that's what I want to encourage everybody on, is to persevere in your business, in your endeavors. I'm persevering, and I'm sure you all are too, and I encourage you to continue to do that. So I hope this helps. I hope this was meaningful, and I hope that you enjoyed it. So I hope you have a good evening, and I will see you on tomorrow. Have a good night.